Welcome back to Create, Share, and Give. This is my Aunt Marie. In today's video, I am going to be sharing a VR video, a video requested video from Shamanic Arawak, priestess, and her video was on her 13 favorite herbs. So I thought that would be a great challenge. I love herbs. If you guys are new to my channel, I talk about all things spiritual. One of my biggest components in my spirituality is working with plant matter, and that's going to be going deeper and deeper as I progress in my journey. So I thought that would be an awesome video to make. So without further ado, I am going to tell you 13 of my top favorite herbs, and they are not categorized by least favorite to best. I'll just kind of reiterate that as I'm discussing each herb. So let's start with the first herb. Now the first herb is going to be cinnamon. I have had a love for cinnamon for a very long time. I always like to buy them in the stick form, and I put them in my tea, and it just adds a little bit more flavor. It is an antiviral, antifungal, and it really works on lowering your blood pressure. It helps if you have a cold. I like to take some of the loose cinnamon and put it in water, and it usually helps heal my cold really quick. I like to put it on my food. If I'm making like a drink, my cacao drink, I like to put cinnamon in that. I like to put cinnamon in just so many dishes you can make it in. It's just one of my favorite, very powerful herbs, and it is actually from the bark of the tree, if you did not know that. And I also like to use the cinnamon essential oils. Now I just purchased some cards on essential oils, and I pulled this card a couple days ago. So I've been putting the essential cinnamon oil in my diffusers around the house. Hebrews use cinnamon oil to anoint as their holy oil. In ancient Kemet, they used cinnamon oil for divination, and they also used it in the mummification process. So we know that was thousands of years ago. So that's how powerful and how long this magnificent herb of cinnamon has been around. So pick up you some cinnamon if you haven't worked with that. It's good to speed things up. If you want to add them to your candle, or any of your workings, that would be awesome. My second herb I have today is the mandrake root. Now the mandrake root is so mystical because it looks like it is shaped in a human form. It has the two legs, the two arms, the torso, and the head. And I always wanted some mandrake root. It is very rare, very expensive, and hard to find. But I was out in this little store some time back in San Diego, and I went to this occult shop, and they had some mandrake root pieces, and I have had it ever since. It has a very strong, woody, smoky smell to it, but you can tell that it is just very powerful, and it definitely has its language on its own. I know it became popular like in the Harry Potter movies. I believe they mentioned it there. But it can be poisonous to animals. So I rarely pull this out because of my dog. I'm just sometimes afraid of dropping a piece and not being careful. So this I keep tight, and up in my apothecary on the top shelf. But mandrake root, it is very mystical, and everyone should have this in their apothecary. Number 3 is yellow dock. Now, yellow dock is a herb that I came across when I was reading one of my herbal books, and Sally McLeod is an elder who is magnificent, a healer, and she raved about this yellow dock. So after reading about Miss Sally McLeod and her herbalism and how she lived by this yellow dock, I believe she was like 84 at the time of her interview, and she had only been to the doctor once or twice in her life, no major ailments, because a lot of people didn't have money to go see a doctor, And in the Amazon, they call the forest their pharmacy. I bought some just on GP because of her. And she boils it down, and you have to boil it down and you drink it. It's supposed to be really, really gross. I have not tried to drink it yet, but it can be used for prosperity as well. And I love it when I make my floor washes. It is a yellow root when you cut the root, and it is just amazing. You can tell this one is powerful as well. And it has too, again, like almost a citrusy but smoky flavor to it as well. Whenever her family had gotten sick, she would give them this as a cure-all. I just knew I had to have this down because it's one of those herbs that the ancestors have approved. Number 4, mugwort. Now mugwort, I have a whole video on mugwort. Mugwort is one of those really mystical herbs. It is used for protection, and it's also used for lucid dreaming. I think it's used more for lucid dreaming. It's more popular for that reason, I believe. And I have used it for lucid dreaming, and I did not get a lucid dream, but when I drink the mugwort, my dreams are very, very vivid. I can tell I'm on another dimension, and it is clear, and I wake up and I remember most details when I drink mugwort. It is a sedative, so by it being a sedative, it makes me a little bit drowsy. One time I drank some, and the next day I just felt groggy the whole day, like I was trying to wake up. And then that's when I put 2 and 2 together, that it is a sedative, so be careful with your dosage. The taste is not pleasant, to say the least. So if I put it in a tincture, I can put a few drops under my tongue, or you can also make it dream pillows. You can make a dream pillow out of mugwort and put it under your pillow to enhance your dreams if you don't want to digest it. Okay, now my next favorite is actually a root, but it is, now this is hands down my number 1, and it is the High John Conqueror root. This root, you know, it is powerful. You can look at it and just see the power in it. It has a rich, smoky smell to it. That's how you can tell when it's authentic. It's very, very hard, although it's not too hard to break up if you hammered it. I've done that too to break it up. But this is my all-time favorite, and the High John Conqueror root, without going too much into detail, because I do plan on dedicating a video to this root because it is worthy. The history and the story and the folklore behind it is absolutely amazing. So John Conqueror was a African prince that was enslaved. Once he was enslaved, he vowed never to bow to the colonizers. In that folklore, there's so many funny stories about High John the Conqueror. When I make the video, I'll share one of my favorite stories about High John the Conqueror. And so he would never want to succumb to any colonizer. High John the Conqueror is used for love, prosperity, health, any situation you may need to call on High John Conqueror root, one of the strongest roots that you can use to help get out of any situation you may be in. You can use High John the Conqueror root, and it will be there to aid you. And so I love this root about the African prince, and I look forward to sharing that video with you guys soon. Rosemary. The next herb is rosemary. Now, rosemary is one of those herbs that's so readily available that you almost can overlook it. It's like that tried and true, but you still cannot take it for granted. To me, that is what rosemary is. The smell is amazing. I like to put it into my spray waters if I'm making any type of floor wash or room spray. I did a spray on how to make a new moon spray, and you can watch that to see how I like to use rosemary. One of the ways I like to use it. It is very protecting. It's very healing. It can be used for love. It just has various components you can use it for. As I said, you can put it in your floor wash. You can put it in sachets or your mojo bags. That they're great in that for protection. I even, one time I cleansed my window sills, and then I just laid the rosemary throughout the window sills, and then I put it in front of my front door. And I really like to use that method instead of like using salt for protection. This will be a great substitute because it's so fine and it's not easily detectable. You know, if you're looking at my window sills, you may not see, you know, so much of foliage, but you'll see little sprinkles of the rosemary. I like to use it in culinary too. It's good to cook with for your salads, for your fish, and it livens up any dish. My next herb I want to talk about is sage. Now, sage is one of those coveted, a component, a friend you could always trust. Sage is your protector. It is your purifier. It is your cleanser. It is used for so many different things from indigenous peoples. And you can burn it. You can put it in soap, candles, on charcoal. You can make incense out of it. Or you can buy the sage bushels and burn them that way. But they are becoming a very rare plant. I am trying to be more aware of the usage of sage and the overconsumption of it. So I have bought this loose form of it, and I would love to grow some sage, white sage. They have all different types of sage, but the white is the most popular or the most readily available. And it's a purification. You can use it to cook with, put it in your dressing for the holidays. It just adds a little spice to your dish. It has a very distinct taste, but it again has been around for many years, and everyone must have some sage somewhere around them. And that's why I always keep sage, no matter what form. I haven't been buying this sage bundle because of the reasons I just stated, but I have the powdered sage, and I like that as well. The tried and true friend. My next herb is Herba Santa. Now, Herba Santa is one of my first herbs that I really discovered, especially when using it as a loose incense. I was in a store that was going out of business, and I bought a small packet of this, and I really enjoyed the smell of it. It's very powerful. It can be used for protection and healing and love. So if you have those three components in any herb, it is a must-have in your apothecary. My next herb is hyssop. Now, hyssop is one of those ancient herbs. How do we know that? Because it is spoken about in the Bible. I can't remember the verse offhand, but it states, "Wash me with hyssop, and I shall be clean and white as snow." So I always love to take my purification spiritual baths. I always put hyssop in it. It is very cleansing. It brings in that love. It brings in that healing, the power to heal. It's used in exorcisms. Is that the right word? But anywho, it's a great purification herb, and I have to have this because it is documented going back thousands of years. And when you use it, you just feel the cleansing just coming over you. So that is hyssop. The next herb is the five-finger grass, and it is also known as cinquefoil, if I'm pronouncing that correctly. But it is a leaf, and the leaf has 5 different branches to it, which makes it really beautiful. But those 5 points signify love, health, power and wisdom. And this is like an all remedy. Whatever you need to work on, you got those 5 components mixed into the mixture. And this is what the 5-finger grass means to me. It's one of those, you need everything under the kitchen sink because you need some heavy duty to hit it from every point around. This is what you need, that 5-finger grass. My next herb, benzoin. I was introduced to benzoin when I was making some incense for a project. When I did my kefi incense, I also have a video on how I make those. One of the key ingredients to most homemade incense. You want to add your benzoin to it. It is a purification. It definitely purifies, and it smells so good. When I put this in one of my incense, when I mixed it in, it just heightened the scent of my incense mixture like 100 times. And I have it in the powdered form. You can use it straight by itself when you're putting it on a charcoal, or you can mix it in your other herbal mixture and it'll add an extra purification process, and it'll add uplifting mood and a great smell. So if you're making incense or you burn herbs on your charcoal, I would definitely suggest pick up some benzoin. Just divine. Absolutely divine. When I smell lavender, I am instantly relaxed. I love the color lavender, the pale shade of lavender. I smell lavender, it'll take me down a few notches instantly. I just adore lavender. I love the color. I love the way the herb comes in. There's different variations. They're all beautiful. I mean, it's just purple is a spiritual color. It is of the higher chakras, so it is definitely a special herb that's used for love, peace, and healing. And I love to use lavender for healing and for peace. To me, it just signifies peace. Like just peace, calmness. It's going to be all right type of mood. And that's what lavender does for me. And I always just keep lavender on deck. I'm always sure to keep lavender in my apothecary at all times. It is my safety net. If I'm out and about and I buy any kind of body wash, any type of bath oil, and I have to choose from a scent, always bet on lavender for me. And that's just how it's been for a long time for me. It's one of my favorite scents. And my last but not least is dragon's blood. Now, I use dragon's blood in the form of a resin. You can get the leaves off the tree as well, but the resin you can use on your charcoal. It is purifying, it is very protective, and it will add ashe to any other incense you use. So whatever mixture you use, for whatever your intention is with that particular incense, drop a little dragon's blood in there, and it's going to magnify the energy times 10. So dragon's blood is always your best friend, and it is this beautiful, rich, I don't know if it's hard to see, but it's this rich, almost like a crimson deep red.